What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of my Zero to Hero series where I play on a completely free-to-play account and I only use SR and R characters, except the free SSRs that are given to us, which are going to be Leanne and also Linglo, so you guys will have access to pretty much all of these characters. Now, in this episode, we're just going to be talking about what you want to focus on when you're starting the game in the early and mid-game. If you guys are curious about my account progression, basically I have cleared up to floor 10 of Ember Check. I can go further, just haven't gotten the time to it. I have cleared all the shells. I'm pretty much waiting for Nico Nana, which will be my first huge power spike, and I'm just going through, all the story mode and other stuff. Now, basically what you want to focus on, it's pretty simple. I'm just going to break it down for you guys. You guys can just write it down or just keep note of it. But the first thing you want to do is always be progressing through this scenario or the main quest. Now, this is going to unlock at certain levels, so while you're doing that, there's going to be other things you can do. But first and foremost, make sure you guys do all of these as soon as you can because it will unlock a lot of the things in the game. Now, after that, what you want to focus on is going to be your Hyperlink Charter. This is basically the quests that the game gives you. There's 5 different ones, and this will actually allow you to progress through the game and get a ton of rewards, and it kind of teaches you the game in a sense. Definitely make sure you're doing this as much as you can. When you get gated by levels, you can just hold off on it, but just want to make sure you're going through the quests as you can and just do what they ask of you. It's pretty simple. If you guys get stuck on any of the thresholds, just try to improve your characters, which we'll talk about later in this video. But basically, you just want to keep going because they give you a ton of summons, a ton of rewards, and a ton of materials to upgrade your characters even further. Now, on the note of upgrading your characters, there's only going to be a couple of things you can do in the early game. But basically, when you look at your characters, there's going to be 3 things you can do, actually 4, to upgrade them. The first one is going to be actually leveling them up and starring them up. So leveling up your characters doesn't really matter that much in terms of stats. What does matter is actually starring up your characters. For that reason, you do want to get them to max level, but once you get them to your max level, make sure you star them up if you can to actually get the huge stat gain from getting the star increase. Now, for 6 stars, you only really want to do it on DPS, so Leanne is a perfect candidate in the early game. Your supports and other characters that you're not really using as your main damage dealer, you can keep them at 5 stars or even 4 stars in the early game and they'll do their job. The next thing that is very important to focus on is going to be your modules. So for your modules, just make sure you have your Matrix effect activated. For damage dealers, just go for Onslaught in the early game. For supports and other characters, you want to go for Swift Rush, which will give you speed. These are the 2 you probably want to focus on in the early stages of the game and into the mid game. And just make sure you get the Matrix going. Don't really worry too much about leveling these up, except for quests and Hyperlink Charter quests that tell you to. And the only ones that really will give you huge gains are going to be these right side pieces. So the left side pieces have fixed main stats and they're always flat stats, but the right side pieces can rotate between like flat stats and percent stats. So for your damage dealers, you want to go for crit rate and crit damage and attack percent, and for your supports, something like HP is very good, and for debuffers that really rely on landing these debuffs, such as Vice with his taunt, or even Gray with his defense down, or something like a Kazuyo if you use her for her sleep, you want to make sure that these characters are actually on effect accuracy pieces so they have a higher chance to land your debuffs. Your modules aren't going to be the biggest thing that actually will improve your characters. The biggest thing are going to be the next 2 things we talk about. So first, let's talk about shells. These are basically your weapons or artifacts. This will be like 70% of your strength. One, they have this effect on them for each unique one, but also you'll see that there's basic attributes that give you a ton of stats, and also the passive effects can give you a ton of stats as well. So if you ever feel that you're stuck, make sure your shells are up to date. You'll see that my Leanne is on a level 40 max level shell, same with my Gray, and same with my Vice, and then we have my Chiaki the Echo on level 30 shell. So you can see my shells are pretty much max level or close to the max level. These will give you, the huge stat gains while also allowing you to enable your matrices more easier because they come with a set matrix that will be RNG on the drop. So definitely make sure you focus on your shells. These are going to be a huge power gain, way more so than your modules. A lot of people get baited by the modules because there's 6 of them, but the shell is definitely going to be a huge stat gain in the early game, and even in the late game, but more so in the early game. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is your prowess. So prowess is also very important. It's basically how you enhance your skills. Basically, the first few nodes are free in terms of not having to use lattice, so these you're going to want to level up. For your supports, you don't really need this attack at all, but for your damage dealers, you definitely want to make sure you get all these nodes activated. You don't have to level up the skill and use your lattice. Just make sure for your characters that you have these free stats basically just from using these mats. These mats are easily farmable. You'll see I'm actually farming them right now. It's going to be from the GP outpost and challenges here. And you just want to farm the hardest stage and farm the mats and upgrade your prowess so you get the base stats on your characters. If you don't actually do this, you're missing out on a ton of damage and also just a ton of bulk. Also, for characters that you want to skill up, I wouldn't recommend just randomly skilling up stuff. So you can see my Chiaki Echo's level 5. This is very good to get her to level 5 on for her skill 3, Bright Melody, because this is her main ability that will buff my team. And by getting the reduced CD on it, it's very, very good. But, other characters, such as, Kazi the Reverie, you probably don't want to invest into early game, but later on maybe. But for the most part, just be very conservative with your lattices, but also, if you have an idea of what you want to use later in the game, you can spend them. But the most important part is, of course, just using your prowess to get these stats. And you'll see pretty much all of my characters that I use on my main team will have all these free stats enabled. Well, now all free stats enabled. So it gives them just a ton of bulk and tankiness while giving them some damage as well. Now, another thing I want to talk about is your modules. Don't really upgrade too many of them. You're going to be rotating in a team of 4 for the most part. So you can see I have 4 sets of modules leveled up. This is going to be good enough for the early game. Also, don't level them up all the way like I did. I'm only doing it because I have a main account that I know what stats I'm going for. For the most part, you can leave them at level 9 and level 12 and you should be good to go. The 5th character you slot in, you can always put them on a backup set. So this is the 5th character that I slot into my teams, Valerian. You can see she's on pretty crappy gear and a pretty crappy shell, but it's okay because you're gonna see that there's a lot of content that has 4 players and some that have 5 players, but the hardest one will usually be around 4 players, especially in the early game. Now that is pretty much it for gearing up your characters. Some other things you want to focus on is make sure you join a union ASAP. Being in a union gives you a ton of stuff. If you go to weekly quests, you can get all of this stuff up here, which is a lot of mats. You have a ton of quests that will give you a ton of materials. On top of that, you will have this union boss, which you can actually hit and get a ton of materials as well. And you also unlock the ability to get the currency from unions to purchase stuff in the shop. Very important you start buying your perfect lattices ASAP. These are going to gate your account progression, your character development. So, you want to make sure you have all the lattices that you can purchase available. And of course, in the other shops as well, you're going to want to purchase that as well. So definitely join a union. They're very good, give you a ton of materials. It's pretty much required in this game. On top of that, you'll see that there's something called Arena Realm. This is PvP. You also want to make sure you're doing your 5 hits a day, just because, 1, you rank up, which will give you more rewards, and 2, you'll be able to get, a ton of other stuff as well when the season ends and stuff like that. You don't have to aim to hit the top rank, just make sure you do your 5 hits and try to win. That way you get your rank up rewards, right? The first time you rank up, you'll get a ton of rewards, and also at the end of the week, you get a ton of this currency and crystals as well. And this is going to be very good because there's the shop, which you can purchase the golden lattice for your SSRs and also the purple lattice for your SRs. And you want to make sure you buy both, and even the micro lattice when you decide to level up your Vice or whatever R character you decide to. Now, that's pretty much it for unions and arena. Another thing I want to talk about is your gems. So your crystals or your gems in the early game, you don't really want to spend them on summons at all. What you want to do is really spend them on the energy here, the stamina. And what I mean by that is you want to make sure that you are basically using your crystals to maximize the amount of energy you get, like this. This way that you can progress your account as soon as you can. Summons will come to you in the game, so don't get tempted to spend your crystals on summons. You get so many summons just by playing. You can see I'm at level 30, and then if I look at my summon record, I have, it's not this banner, the permanent banner. You'll see that I have so many summons that I've done. So you can see, already, it's just going and going and going and going, right? I have so many summons that I've done because the game gives you so many summons in the early game. I think in the first 2 weeks, you get 400 summons or something. So you want to use these crystals for energy and stamina so you can actually level up, unlock things, and progress your account as soon as you can. You can stop refreshing for crystals once you hit level 55-ish, even 60-ish. But until then, make sure if you have time during the day and you're playing, you do as many of these refreshes as you can, and even use your stabilizers if you want to progress even quicker. Now, that being said, for summons, definitely don't use your crystals on them, especially in the early game. And when you do get these summons, what you want to do is summon on the permanent summon. Don't use the targeted summon. This basically guarantees that you can choose whatever SSR you want. That's an RGB. Don't use this at all. What you want to do is just keep spamming the permanent summon, because this has a chance to give you those rare LD SSRs that are very good. You can get like a Lily, who if you didn't reroll for is the best character in the game. You can get Yelly, which is one of the best DPSs, same with Messiah. You can also get like Shadow Sonya, a very good PvE character, right? So summoning on the permanent banner allows you to get this. If you summon on a targeted banner, you can see that they're not in the pool, and also in the targeted summon, it's not in the pool either. So for the targeted summon, what you want to do with this is later on, whether it be on day 14 or like when you're like level 50 or so, you want to round out your roster with a character that you're missing. For example, a very good option could be Kloss later on, because Kloss is one of the best supports in the game for PvE and is super strong. Or if you already have her, you can pull for something like a Giada, who's a very good damage dealer in the game, or even something like a Rosa, who's very good as well. And the reason why I say you want to do this at level 14, or not level 14, day 14 if you can wait, is because at the end of this 7-day commission, so at the end of the 7 days, you get Linglo, which is like a free SSR healer who's really strong. And at the end of the 14 days, you'll get this summon. And this quantum prototype will basically guarantee a random SSR. So people recommend waiting at the end of those 14 days. That way you don't get, a dupe, right? It would suck if you use your targeted summon before them for like a Kloss, and then from that you get Kloss again, right? Because dupes in this game are not that great. So definitely, hold off on your targeted summon if you can until the 14 days. If you want to do it a little bit earlier, it's really up to you. Just be aware you might get a dupe, and you want to round out your roster. Usually people just go for Kloss if you don't have her, because she's pretty irreplaceable. But if you already have her, I have a video on my channel that talks about which units are good to go for. But in general, Giada is very good, Rosa is very good, Tsukiyomi is very good, and just very good options that you can go for. So that's it for summoning. Pretty much it that I want to talk about. Just make sure you're doing your first clears as well. By doing first clears in areas of content, you'll be getting a ton of resources and materials. You can see I haven't started doing these first clears, but you can see I can get crystals and a lot of these mats. So make sure you're doing that as well, and you'll be able to progress in no time and get to the mid and late game. So you can see my account is progressing fairly nicely. I've been clearing everything. I do have a very good game plan on what I plan to do, but next video will probably be tackling some of the harder content. Ideally, it'll probably be something like Nico Nana, because this is where you start getting your late game shells, which you can start using to boost your account very quickly and very strongly. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully this helps you out if you're new to the game. If you're not, maybe this reaffirms some stuff for you guys. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. I think this game is super fun in the early game now that I'm playing it again, and I'll see you guys next video.